Welcome to INN CEO Talks. In this episode, joining me today is James Macintosh, the President and Director of Graycliff Exploration. The company website boldly states, "We're exploring for high-grade gold in the shadow of a historic headframe." Jamie, welcome back.
Very nice to see you again.
Well, and great to see you.
It's an interesting time for all of us, and so I look forward to chatting with you a bit more about what's going on right now.
Yeah, I was quite excited after our last conversation because we learned so much about your Shakespeare project, but it's been a few months since we last talked. So why don't we bring viewers up to date on what's happening there, and then we can also talk about your Baldwin project after we explore more fully what the details are of the Shakespeare project.
That's great. Thanks, Stu. Since we last chatted, we've now got the results back from the first part of the phase 3 drilling. So we had great results again. We continued to find some VG in the drill core, which came through in anomalous results in 7 of 12 holes that we've released to date.
Wow.
And they're all good results. We've extended the depth of the mineralization by over 50 meters. We've extended the width of the mineralization, and we're getting some very significant numbers. As high as 46 grams per tonne over 5 meters, and to get anomalous in 7 of 12 holes again. And we're talking multiple sections in some cases. So it's really strong news. We also did some channel sampling at surface just to confirm that the mineralization does extend to surface. And we got us up to 137 grams over about 3/4 of a meter and 54 grams over half a meter. So the mineralization now we've confirmed goes from surface down to over 250 meters. So this is a huge, I think, success in the phase 3 drilling. And so we're pretty excited.
So where do you go from here? Because we know that these projects take time to build them out and there's stages that you're going through. What's the next stage?
So phase 4, the drill is turning. We've started drilling, and so we'll continue to delineate the mineralized zone as we continue to increase the size of it. We certainly believe it's going to continue to increase at depth. But the other thing that we've completed in the first quarter was the geophysical survey that we plan to do. We are weeks away from getting the final interpretation of those results. And I think that will be quite interesting for us. The other thing we've found is that we believe we'll be able to identify some new targets out of that geophysical survey, and the guys will be on the ground shortly looking for a surface expression of any of those targets. So that's pretty interesting. But the interesting piece, Stu, is that the geophysical survey covered both Shakespeare and Baldwin. So we now will have some targets to look at Baldwin, and hopefully there'll be some significant targets to look for there.
So what's your next step or stage with Baldwin?
So regional field sampling and maybe even some till sampling, as there is some overburden on that piece, and then following it up with a drill program later on in the year. So on the priority targets.
For viewers, at the top, I talked about this being a historic region. Let's give them a little bit of that history so that we can remind them that, this is so perfectly situated that it's a wonder
right
that it hasn't
Sudbury
been.
Basin. We're right in the Sudbury Basin. It's got hundreds of mines in the area. We just to the north of us along strike, the northeast trending strike, is the Shakespeare nickel mine owned by Magna Mining. And so they've actually staked right up to our border on the northeast. They're looking for nickel. Who knows? Maybe we'll find some targets up at that end. I don't know if you remember this from the first time, but we also, when we were doing the initial field sampling, found some very nice copper values. And now that copper is a strategic metal, according to the Canadian government, 3% copper at surface is a pretty good grab sample. So we're we've got a lot going on. There's a ton of mineralization at Shakespeare, and we hope there'll be just as much at Baldwin.
Well, you talk about copper, and you're right, the price is going only in one direction now, and it looks like the demand for it is going to be increasing. But the same seems to be true of gold. We're finally starting to see gold moving into those price ranges that make the development, especially at the stage that you're at, appear to be in line with the growing need 3, 4, 5 years out.
Yeah, we're very encouraged. Obviously, gold prices have come off a little bit lately, but they're still very strong. And when you convert that into Canadian and you look at a brownfield site that has a lot of infrastructure, as I reiterated last time, you can drive right to the number 3 at it, and it makes it pretty easy. You can take a ATV pretty much to the old shaft location. So this is a kind of project that when we decide to develop it or sell it to a company that will develop it, it will be extremely favorable conditions.
Right. So for investors who are watching right now, what's the most important thing that you want them to take away when they're thinking about, investing in your company?
Well, I mean, I know this is a broken record, and every junior mining person says the same thing, but we're fundamentally undervalued. We know we have gold. We've got a lot of gold, and the stock price doesn't reflect it. We're sitting at a ridiculous, I think, $6 million market cap. So this is a great time to invest in Graycliff. We've got a lot of activity. We're going to have a lot of activity all through the rest of 2022 and into 2023. So I think it's a great time to pick up some shares and sit on them for a while. I think it's going to be an amazing year.
So finally, when might we see next results and have you back on the show to give us updates?
So we're heading out to the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, so we will be obviously, making sure we get some news out. So there may be some out soon, and we will also have the results of the geophysical survey, and we'll be updating people on the state of our drilling program for Phase 4. So I think by the time we're done this year, we'll be well over 12,000 meters of drilling. So it's exciting.
Stay tuned. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Stu.